Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today for today's webinar in which we will be presenting Lithuania's FEZs as a gateway to the EU market. My name is Zirimas Čiplinskas and I'm the president of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce in Lithuania. And we are hosting today's event together with the Embassy of Canada to Lithuania and the Embassy of Lithuania to Canada and our corporate partner CGI Lithuania. Today we will be presenting you why Lithuania is an excellent choice for Canadian companies seeking to manufacture or to incorporate in the European Union. Our focus will be on two strategic free economic zones in Lithuania in the cities of Kaunas and Klaipeda. But before we begin, I am very honored to present live from Ottawa the ambassador of Lithuania to Canada, Darius Skusevičius, who has agreed to say a few opening words. Darius, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rimas. Dear guests, dear speakers of the event, it's really a great pleasure and honor. And thanks to technologies, we will be able to stream this event afterwards for other interested parties to be able to see it. So I arrived to Canada end of 2019, and since then we really are enjoying fruitful political relations between our two countries. But having that in mind, we thought that we should focus much more on economic cooperation, and therefore we. Even with the pandemic everywhere around, we are trying to make those bridges between Lithuanian and Canadian businesses. And even for this year, we have foreseen a number of virtual missions, economic missions to Lithuania or to Canada. And one of the areas and how we present Lithuania usually is a gateway to European Union market. And of course, if you are a manufacturing company and you wish to settle in Lithuania, one of the spots you might be interested to look at is free economic zones. So today I'm really happy that we have a representative of Invest Lithuania and representatives from two biggest free economic zones in Lithuania, from Kaunas and Klaipeda, and really looking forward to this seminar and to strengthening those relations between our businesses. Thank you so much for organizing, Rimas.
Thank you very much, Darius. Now, without further ado, we'll turn the time over to our first presenter, Nadežda Bausienė, who is the head of the manufacturing sector team of Invest Lithuania. Her talk will give us a concise overview of all the advantages that incorporating and manufacturing in Lithuania has to offer.
Hello, everyone, and good morning for those of you who are based in Canada. I believe it is still the morning. I am very pleased to be here myself, and thank you to the organizers for making this webinar happen, and to all of you who have gathered today for participating. So as Rimas has already mentioned, my name is Nadežda, and I am the head of the manufacturing sector team at Invest Lithuania. So today I would like to give you a brief overview of Lithuania and its investment climate. And we do have partners from two largest free economic zones in Lithuania, where actually majority of our manufacturing investors choose to locate. Hence, my presentation is also with a slight twist towards manufacturing. So let's begin. So first of all, a couple of words about Invest Lithuania. For those of you who may have not heard about us, so we are the official government agency under the Ministry of Economy and Innovation, and we are responsible for promoting foreign direct investment to Lithuania. Our services are free of charge, and we accompany our clients throughout the whole investment journey, whether it's a decision-making, business establishment, or business development questions. And most of the time, it comes to provision of information, data analytics, connections within the country, and of course the improvement of the investment climate. So let's discover Lithuania. Lithuania is a fairly small country. We've got a population of around 3 million people, and about half of it is in the labor pool. We are small, but at the same time we are global. So we are part of the EU and Eurozone, part of the member of the NATO and WTO, and I believe from 2018 also member of the OECD club. And the manufacturing sector represents about 20% of our GDP. So who are the top investors in Lithuania? So not surprising given the size some of these economies, it is the US, UK, Germany is a large investor as well, and we have a number of Scandinavian countries that are actually also very interested in Lithuania. So you may be thinking, where is Canada on this map? But we will come to that in a minute. Basically, using statistical terminology, we could probably say that the number of investments would not be statistically significant, yet there are already a few companies with Canadian headquarters that are present in Lithuania already. Right. If we look at the sectors for investment, so you would see that about half of them are going to the shared service centers, but the next largest bit is actually going to manufacturing, about 27%. And talking about the manufacturing industry, so historically it has been seen as the backbone of Lithuania's economy, and now the sector generates about 20% of Lithuania's GDP. There are over 20,000 manufacturing companies in Lithuania, and about, well, nearly 500 are foreign capital companies. Throughout the years, Lithuania has been strategically focusing on building strong ecosystems, and now we are pleased to host major players in the automotive industry, such as Continental and Hella, but also other major players within industrial machinery, medical devices, and plastics. And these are just some of the examples that we have chosen to show, but there are many more. And here we come to the data of the Canadian investment. So as you can see, there is not much. And again, we chose some of the examples, but the first steps have already been made. So you can see that investments are rather diversified in different sectors, and some companies have invested a long time ago, and some are kind of more or less recent comers. But I'm hoping that in the future, there will be more Canadian companies who will discover Lithuania. So what are the reasons for the FDI in Lithuania? And today I would like to talk about 4 main aspects, namely the business environment, the labor pool, infrastructure, and the government support. So I suggest we go through them one by one very briefly. So let's start with the business environment. This is one of my favorite slides, to be honest, and what it shows here, it's actually the comparison based on 2 main factors. So on one hand, you have the World Bank's ease of doing business rank, and on the other hand, you have labor cost. So you can see that the business environment in Lithuania is ranked alongside Sweden and the UK. But if you look at the labor cost, it's far away from those countries. So Lithuania still stands at the level of some other Central and Eastern European countries. Essentially what it means that the quality that the companies get for the price that they pay is really superb. If we look at the tax system, not only it is competitive in numerical terms, but also very transparent. So essentially what you see is all there is. There is no hidden tax. And my colleagues from the free economic zones will probably tell you a little bit more about why corporate profit tax or dividend tax can amount to 0%. And essentially the standard rate would be 15%. Talking about the talent pool, Lithuanians, I'm pleased to say that Lithuanians are actually well educated. We're also quite good in foreign languages, and we have a high proportion of students choosing science, technology, engineering, and mathematics as their majors. So I believe for manufacturing companies, this is something of a great importance. What is more, the market is relatively unsaturated, particularly compared to other Central and Eastern European countries. So it gives the opportunity for foreign investors not only to easily enter the market, but also ramp up quickly if they need to do so. The third thing I want to talk about is the infrastructure. And here I would like to first of all say that looking at the geography, geographically Lithuania is very well located. It's in between south and north, or east and west, depending on the way you look at it. And we're also a very open economy. So the logistics sector is also very well developed. It represents about 12% of the country's GDP. And we of course have road and rail infrastructure. We also have an I3 seaport in Klaipeda, and we've got a good connection with 3 international airports. I don't think there is a direct flight to Canada, but I think that with a connecting flight, you can easily get pretty much anywhere that you want. Looking at the digital infrastructure, Lithuania is also very well connected. So if we talk about the 4G and sometimes even 5G coverage, the ICT infrastructure, and I think what is very important these days, it's also the availability of people with technological skills. So sometimes and more often we hear that it can be challenging to find the right talent with the right skill set at the right price. But I believe in Lithuania you can still do so. And the last but not least is the government support. So I have already mentioned and my colleagues will talk about the free economic zones. So in Lithuania, there are 7 of them, and they will tell you a little bit more details about what it means when you locate in one of these free economic zones. And I, on my part, would like to tell you more about the package of laws that the Lithuanian Parliament has adopted in January this year. So it's really designed for large-scale projects, and by large-scale I mean where the capex investment is more than 20 million euros and the number of new jobs created is more than 150 in the regions of Lithuania. So the support for such projects is twofold. So firstly, there is a tax incentive, and as you can see, the corporate profit tax can be 0% for 20 years. But secondly, there is also a strong political support. So essentially, projects of this scope get a VIP service where the procedures are streamlined and the decision making is very fast. So overall, a very attractive package. And that's not all. So for smaller projects or for different types of projects, there are also some incentives coming from either Lithuanian government or from the European Union funding, and that can relate to either purchasing, building, construction and machinery, some employee training, R&D activities, and of course building the kind of the talent, IT talent pool that is so much needed these days. So I suppose that's pretty much it in a nutshell. If you do have any questions, you can either ask them now or ask them after all the presentations that will be made, or you can just contact us directly. So really up to you. Hopefully this information was interesting, and passing on the word to my colleagues.
Okay, thank you very much, Nadežda. Our next presentation is by Vytautas Petružis, the CEO of the Kaunas Free Economic Zone.
Thank you, Rimas, for opportunity to speak to the Canadian audience. And let me introduce myself. I am Vytautas Petružis, the manager of the management company of Kaunas Free Economic Zone. And let me shortly start with topics you see on your screens. Is strategic location, infrastructure, tax concessions, and our experience and results. Let me start with a strategic location. And starting with European map, Lithuania is painted in dark green at this map, and we, Lithuania, are located at the eastern part of European Union, and Nadežda already mentioned. And we are mentioning once again that Lithuania is very well connected to the eastern countries such as Belarus, Ukraine, and Russia by the so-called East-West corridor. with the Baltic Sea, with our ice-free port of Klaipeda, about which you'll hear from my colleague Eimantas later. And also we have good connections with the rest of European Union countries by so-called Northwest transport corridor coming from Helsinki in the north, passing other Baltic states, capitals Tallinn and Riga, and connecting to the capital of Poland, Warsaw, in the south. Let me also repeat a bit, Nadežda, that we are the members of European Union and NATO, and this gives a very good security for your investments. And if we look at another map which reflects Lithuania, you can see Kaunas region and Kaunas city being the second largest city of Lithuania, located just at the crossing of very important international corridors. And these corridors encompass motorways that are shown in black color, as well as railways in red color, and also the Rail Baltica, which is reflected in yellow color. We also have an international airport and a very important intermodal Palemonas terminal in the region. Let me look at still another scale map which shows Kaunas city in light green, and darker green represents Kaunas Free Economic Zone area. We are located outside the city, but very close to the city, which gives us good possibilities for employees working in companies of Kaunas Free Economic Zone to access the working places from all areas of Kaunas city and Kaunas region using public transportation, as well as using personal cars very efficiently. On the other hand, being outside the city, there's a big good opportunity for companies to transport the goods produced or stored in the warehouses of the free economic zone, to transport or distribute their goods to all possible directions, not going into the city, just thus avoiding the city traffic. And here you can also see the Kaunas intermodal terminal. If you see the cursor of my mouse, I'm showing the Kaunas intermodal terminal, and Kaunas airport is in our neighborhood. And if we look at a bigger scale, you see this infrastructure, very important infrastructure surrounding the area of free economic zone, which is here reflected in two colors, the light green and the darker green. The light green shows the empty areas of free economic zone of Kaunas, and dark green shows the already occupied territories by our clients, by investors. Here you see once again Kaunas intermodal terminal, which is actually connecting two railway gauges, the Russian gauge coming from the east and the European gauge coming from the south, from the side of Warsaw. And Kaunas International Airport is our neighbor from the north. We have a common border with Kaunas International Airport at about 3 kilometers. Infrastructure. We propose to our investors the so-called greenfield land plots, but all these greenfield land plots are fully supplied with infrastructure. It means that each land plot which we propose to our clients has an asphalt road connected to it, and connecting points of all possible infrastructure at the edge of each land plot. And this gives a very good possibility for our clients to establish themselves in quite a short period of time. Here are a few examples showing that, for example, Continental, after signing a sublease contract with management company of Kaunas Free Economic Zone, established itself in 15 months. It means that they have started their activities in 15 months. Some other companies, they have achieved even better results. For example, FRED, a Lithuanian furniture manufacturer, constructed premises of around 35,000 square meters in 12 months. Tax concessions. We have two tax incentives. It is profit tax or corporation tax and real estate tax. All companies established in Kaunas FEZ and in other Lithuanian FEZs, they are exempt from profit or corporation tax for 10 years, and this corporation tax is reduced by 50% for a following 6 years. And what concerns the real estate tax, there's no real estate tax until 2045. Elsewhere, for example, in Kaunas region, it is 1%. It is 1% of real estate value per year. So it is quite important tax exempt. And let me also remind everybody that Kaunas is a traditional industrial city and traditional technological city, which also has 5 universities, colleges and vocational schools, and around 45,000 students study at each moment in Kaunas, and 31% of these are studying technical sciences. And this gives around 3,000 people who graduate these studies every year, and they join the labor pool, which is around 300,000 people at the radius of 50 kilometers from the center of Kaunas city. The brutto salary in Kaunas region is around 1,300 euros. And let me also share with you what we have achieved by now. We started in 2005, and we have attracted already 39 investors who created 5,500 jobs at the time, and they have invested around 760 million euros. Our investors, we divide roughly our investors into manufacturing and services. On the left side, you see manufacturing investors, and this reflects what I have said already about the traditional metrics of Kaunas to be industrial and technological city, and we are proud that such companies as Continental and Helen Hollister are among our clients. And the services, on the other hand, reflects our good location vis-a-vis transport corridors and vis-a-vis the multimodal and intermodal transport connections. And here you also can see UPS, DPD, and other logistic companies. So this is my short presentation. I think I've even been shorter than 10 minutes. Thank you for your attention, and I'm ready to answer some questions if there are.
Okay, so if there aren't any immediate questions, then we will continue with the final presentation by Eimantas Kiudulas, the CEO of the Free Economic Zone at the port of Klaipeda, being the largest ice-free port in the Baltic states.
Yeah, okay. So thanks a lot for opportunity for joining Canadian team, and for Vytautas leaving me some spare time, but I'll also try to fit to 10 minutes. As you already mentioned, there are two main free economic zones in Lithuania, and actually the main ones who attracted most of the investment. And we learned from each other and compete with each other, so we facilitate each other to be better for investors. We are both private companies. Our company was created by American shareholder who was the first one investing in Lithuania already in 1996, and if he thought that this investment fund thought also that it would be a good idea to facilitate and establish free economic zone in the port of Klaipeda. So that's how we, and these founders or initiators of idea are still on my board. I will do a slideshow. Yes, we have similar numbers as Vytautas presented. We started almost at the same time in 2002. We have more than 700 million euros investment attracted. Our companies are making almost 1.2 billion euros sales, mainly 90% of these sales as export. We have slightly more than 45 customers, and total community of companies which are operating in the Klaipeda Free Economic Zone area is almost 100. What we are also proud of is the number of countries. We have 18 countries which are investors in FEZ from different areas, starting from Ukraine, finishing with, I don't know if I can say finishing with Thailand or Japan. And we still don't have single investor from Canada. So that's kind of that's the thing which we are missing, and I'm very much looking for opportunity to increase the number of countries by attracting at least one or two Canadian projects. Naturally, Lithuanian market is too small to attract bigger companies or even average size of companies. So both in Klaipeda and Kaunas Free Economic Zone companies which are coming, we're coming because we would like to expand. And we usually would like to expand in European market. But as you see, at least my company's export markets are quite wide. From Lithuania, from Klaipeda, and also from Kaunas. We're exporting starting from Algeria and finishing with the United States. As a port city, we are connected directly to Sweden, Denmark, Germany, Poland, UK by USA by ferries, not by ferries, by direct shipping lines, and also by ferries. So naturally, this location serves best for export to Scandinavian market and UK as well, Germany. But some parts of Germany which are mainly connected to the sea connection. On another side, the companies which are located in my FEZ and perhaps in Kaunas FEZ as well, we're exporting also to Ukraine because Europe have free trade agreement to Ukraine, slightly a little bit to Russia, and also North Africa. So we have manufacturers which are coming to Lithuania and to Klaipeda because they would like to expand in Europe. We would like to export in Europe, mainly because we would like to use proximity to Scandinavian market, UK, Germany, main manufacturing, let's say, engines, powers of Europe. But at the same time, there is a list of companies which are exporting to other direction, more east, as well as North Africa. So this is what our location is used for. Main industries which are operating in Klaipeda FEZ is plastic and chemicals, electronic vehicles and components, offshore and large metal structures. Here we have GE as a major representative, food processing, and of course value-added logistics. It doesn't mean that we target only these companies, but these companies so far are the main ones who selected Klaipeda for their successful expansion. By type of companies, I would say that, as Vytautas also mentioned, we have value-added logistics, which is very logical next to a port. And this value-added logistics is mainly connected to the transit goods. So goods which are coming to China and distributed for Scandinavia or going back to Russia, Ukraine, goods which by ship and also by rain from another side, goods which are coming from Russia, assembled here, and after that light assembled here, and after that going to Europe, and so on. So the company which is presented on this slide representing exactly this transit logistic points and transit logistic operation which works between market through Klaipeda as a port. we have some distribution companies. Distribution, it means assembling. We're collecting goods from China, from Europe, from Scandinavia, putting in one point. And from Klaipeda, there is a direct ferry to, for example, Sweden, which connecting Klaipeda to Sweden in less than 24 hours. And if you put the truck in the evening in Klaipeda, already in the morning you are finding this truck on the coast of Sweden. Naturally, this logistics works perfectly, especially for companies which would like also not only manufacture but distribute goods which we are collecting from different countries in Klaipeda and in Klaipeda warehousing facilities. We also have traditional manufacturing, main of which is engineering, and of course it's based, as Vytautas and Nadežda mentioned, that it's based on slightly cheaper labor force, but the same or sometimes even better quality. So naturally those industries as metal processing, chemistry, electronics assembling, that's type of industries which are coming both Lithuania and Klaipeda, and also my customers for quite long time. We have also new trend in our free economic zone coming, I would call them industrial incubators. So this is the company which created a first electric bus, which started like from very first demo version in kind of garage in Klaipeda. Together with the Klaipeda University people, we have created demo version. After that, we have started, let's call it laboratory. So for building first 3 or 4 electric buses, which are already driving in a Klaipeda city. And now we are building a factory for making a mass production. So every year in Klaipeda FEZ, starting from next year, should be produced from 50 to 100 electric buses, depending on how market will be successful. So the guys like Alvydas Naujekas, he's a Lithuanian investor, which was using German engineers in Klaipeda and local students. They have created a version. We started to analyze, does it work? We made it like a production incubator in Klaipeda FEZ with all the facilities. And as soon as we proved themselves that project is successful, we started a mass production. So I would recommend also, if any Canadian company would like to start small, from trading facility, from office, or from, let's say, industrial incubator, that's also a trend for Lithuanian, for companies which are coming to Lithuania and Klaipeda FEZ. We have more companies like these which started from demo technology, and after that going ahead with full power production. Naturally, we have our labor pool, we have our universities, and we have one of a university which is not very big one, but he is Canadian origin. The private university, private Christian college, which is in Klaipeda, he's established, funded, and will be financed in the future by Canadian investors here. One of the things which Lithuania is famous for is, of course, labor efficiency. We have 3 big companies: Japan, company Yazaki from Japan, Philip Morris from United States, and Indorama from India. And because in this international group, they are manufacturing plants in Klaipeda every year, or at least every second year, we are acknowledged as factories of best efficiency in a group. So if somebody is coming with good management tools, we could meet a good manufacturing and management traditions in Lithuania as well. We understand that for many companies, speed is essential for decision making. So in our case, we are proposing facilities for lease, for immediate lease. So we have facilities where you can rent office, where you can rent 100 or 500 square meters warehouse, and it could be immediate deal done in 3 days. We're also building business parks, which are not fully assembled, but which could be assembled like in 3 months. So if we have light manufacturing company which would like to establish quickly and attack European market, we have facilities which could be prepared in 3 months for light production or light assembling line. And as Vytautas already mentioned, actual greenfield projects usually are taking from 10 to 12 months to to start, design, and finish with final manufacturing. So that's our industrial parks and buildings which we are proposing for a quick start. We were first in Lithuania starting this program, and we successfully continued with second and third building. In our case, every company by coming to a country like Lithuania, of course, is a little bit careful. We are sometimes coming to unknown land. We have experiences, as well as my colleague from Kaunas and colleagues from Lithuania for 10-15 years working with foreign investors. We know what we are looking for, and in each case, we are helping them to prepare better business plan in Klaipeda and Lithuania than it would be in any location. So there is a guy who is responsible, Vytautas, who is responsible for taking on board the customer when he is just analyzing decision making. After that, there is a person who is helping the company to be established, and of course, there is a lady who is in charge of our colleague Jurgita, who is in charge of all of the key activities in charge of successful operation in the area. For chemical and plastical industries, we have unlimited capacity of utilities already on board. So if you need large-scale electricity, gas, or whatever it's existing. So in our case, you can facilitate big company as well as small company to move here. But we are operating not only manufacturing, let's say, infrastructure, but also the social and business facilities in the area. So we have business community events, we have kindergarten, we have yoga classes. If you like to play football or basketball, it's also available. On the site, because we would like to be an area where people like to work. The main thing for any of our customers is how to attract good people to work in their company, and we need to create facilities for that. From our infrastructure, we are trying to move to a smart direction. So we are the only few areas in Lithuania where there is 5G internet already established. Not much yet practical function, but at least we can try how it works for our people and for our companies. So I would say that's my short introduction on Klaipeda, and of course one of the differences from the land location is that we are next to the sea, with all the pleasures, entertainments, and the lifestyle which is connected to the sea area. So you're welcome to Lithuania, welcome to Klaipeda, welcome to Kaunas, and we very much looking for expanding the list of countries which would be in our free economic zone.
Okay, thank you very much, Eimantas. So if there are any questions among the participants or attendees, as I said, feel free to unmute your microphone and pose your questions directly.
Rimas, maybe I can ask a short question. How long does it usually take for a company with the initial idea to settle in free economic zone until they're physically there? How long is it in terms of the process?
You first, Nadežda.
To be honest with you, it's a very good question, but the tricky bit is that there is no straightforward answer. It just very much depends. It depends on the project size. It depends at what stage the company is at. So sometimes what we see at Invest Lithuania is that the companies come to us and they're exploring the options. They're looking at different locations, and we essentially just help them with the provision of information to make the most informed kind of the decision. Now, there are some companies that come to us and they pretty much know what they want. In that sense, that kind of speeds up the process. And later on, it comes to a fact of, can we find what the companies want in Lithuania? And a lot of the times we can. And if we can't, we do our best to kind of facilitate the needs that those investors have. And once they already have chosen, let's say, the location and discovered Lithuania as a country, with availability of the talent and things like that. Then we pass them on, and then it's our colleagues in the free economic zones that actually help them with, you know, either construction, the facilities, the site itself, the factory, or just helping them to find kind of a location to rent out and things like that. So it very much depends. I would say in manufacturing, from what we have seen, we're talking about months, if not years. It's never weeks. So it really very much depends. So I don't want to give you a kind of a clear indication because there is no single answer, but we're talking about months.
Maybe little adding. If you are looking just to lease a warehouse, you can do it in a couple of months, in a couple of weeks, of course, because we have facilities for leasing the warehouses. If you are assembling, if you would like just to put a light assembling line, like electronic assembling line, and it's okay for you to lease facilities in existing buildings, so it could be 3 to 4 months. But to build a factory, as Vytautas mentioned previously, it's from 8 to 12 months. To build a new factory.
I see Stefania has a question.
Yes. Hello, I'm Stefania from FEZ Global Advantage. I'm sitting in Toronto. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for participating and organizing this call. It was highly informative. I think I learned a lot about the opportunities in Lithuania. I was surprised to hear you don't have Canadian companies yet. So I was wondering, this is a question to all of you, have you done a targeted campaign in Canada to attract Canadian businesses? And the other question is to Eimantas. It was really interesting to hear about the university in Klaipeda, that it was founded by Canadians. I was wondering what was the purpose? Why did Canadian investors choose your city, and why Canadians? How did you meet, if I may say? Thank you.
Perhaps I can cover the first question.
Just shortly, wanted to add, there are definitely Canadian companies in Lithuania. There are just none.
I know, but in these economic zones, yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Who would like to begin answering?
So may I comment briefly on the kind of the targeted campaign? So essentially, we in Lithuania as a small country, so we kind of try to see what the major investments into your kind of Central and Eastern European region are coming from. And majority of the times, the investors, as per my presentation, were actually from the markets such as US, UK, and Germany and Scandinavia. So it's quite natural that a lot of attention was put to those countries, and it proved to be a good strategy for a number of years, simply because we actually saw a lot of investment coming from those countries. Now, does that mean we wouldn't want to take investors from other locations? It's absolutely not. That's why we're probably here today. And what we are trying to do with the resources that we have is that slowly, step by step, we are trying to build kind of a picture of Lithuania, and first of all, to increase the awareness of where Lithuania is, what it is, and what we can offer. And our government is actually very supportive of foreign direct investment. So as much as we can, we are trying to, as I said, in the first place, it's about raising the awareness. And of course, if there are some investors coming from a certain country, a certain market, then it makes our life so much easier, because you have the first case, you have the second case, and then suddenly you have, it's just a follow-up when people start coming over. So we don't have a major presence of Canadian companies, but we do have some companies, and I believe, it's just those first steps are probably the most difficult and the most important, because other investors would follow, and I very much would like to believe that it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, if there's an anchor company who would make the break. Exactly.
Then,
okay, yeah, okay, I understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're on mute, Eimantas.
Sorry. Coming to Canadian University, it's like usual love story. Right people met right people. But there is no real love story behind, but it's just meeting right people are meeting right people. the idea of this Canadian investor or group of investors was to expand Christian college in this area by helping, as we say, developing leaders of a future. So the target of this university is to collect. We also, as we have students from almost 15, 18 countries, something like that. For example, we're taking students now from Iraq, from Afghanistan, from Ukraine, not only, but I mean also these people which are studying. So idea is brilliant, very supportive. And we were looking for location in the Baltic states like 20 years ago. And in Klaipeda, we just met everything what we needed. We met the mayor who was willing to help. We found a good land. We met a support. Educational system is Lithuanian. In Lithuania was not very bureaucratic for them to be accepted. So it was kind of easy process, and I would say as usual, right people. I met right people, and that's how we decided to come to Klaipeda. And the president of it's cozy university. It's not big one, but still it's university level. We have about 1,000 students. But we have a best basketball place in Klaipeda. I don't know how it worked, but we decided.
Lithuania is the best basketball place, in my opinion.
So finally, we well, president, she's Canadian, but she's already living in Klaipeda for 12 years, and she's happy to manage it and expand. No way expanding. We would like to double.
Okay, so are you offering, or is the university offering like basketball scholarships, or that's not something you do?
We are not in that kind of league, but the Christian college, as we call themselves, basketball team is always one of the leaders. And many students which studied here, we after that went to United States as well. Not many, but a couple of them went to United States universities to continue education. Also having quite a good basketball playing knowledge or background, say like that.
And all these students become the ambassadors of Lithuania, of
Yep.
the good experiences they were having while studying in Klaipeda, I guess. Okay, thank you so much.
Any other questions? Well, if not, once again, thank you to everyone. It was a pleasure being with you here today. And as the presentations have shown, Lithuania offers a business environment, a labor and talent pool, logistics and digital infrastructure, and strong government support that is highly competitive in the European Union. And its geographic location with an ice-free port and excellent highway and rail system offer access to both the EU as well as the entire CIS region. The free economic zones, two of which were presented today, offer all of these advantages bundled in a practical package with extensive experience to facilitate getting a manufacturing business in place as quickly as possible. And last but not least, Lithuania is a beautiful country with untouched nature reserves, historical sites and cities, all of which offer a very high quality of life. So should you have any further inquiries regarding incorporating or manufacturing in Lithuania, please feel free to contact us, the Canadian Chamber of Commerce in Lithuania, Invest Lithuania, or the Free Economic Zone administrations directly. Thank you again for joining us, and thank you to the Canadian Embassy in Lithuania and the Embassy of Lithuania to Canada for helping us get this webinar on its feet, and we'll keep you informed on any similar events that we'll be offering in the future.